Alright, next step we're going to have here is we're removing this plate here in the center of the rear of the laptop. This is a cover plate that covers the wireless card and the RAM on this machine. Once again, every machine's a little bit different. Sometimes you'll open up a cover plate and both the RAM and the hard drive will be under the same plate. Other times it's 3 or 4 separate plates, each one holding something else, separate component. On this one, once again, small Phillips screwdriver here in the center. It's a captive screw again, so once you start turning it beyond a certain point, it's just going to keep spinning. And then we can pop it up. It's a little clip on each side, and then it just slides out. Nice that the captive screw is there. We can't lose that, so we set that piece aside. Inside that section, you'll see 2 separate components. You'll see the wireless card, which is here. Wireless cards on all modern laptops look pretty much like this. Small slot that they slide into, and 2 separate wires that are actually the antenna wires. Also in this area on this laptop is a slot for the RAM. Now your manual on page 121 shows a picture of a RAM chip in there, and actually the previous step was removing this RAM chip. But these laptops do not have extra RAM in them. They only have the one piece of RAM that we'll see later that's deep down inside underneath the keyboard. So this is where you would add additional RAM if you wanted to. Let's say this machine only had 1 gig and you want to give it 2 or 5. You could add an extra SODIMM here. You can skip the step for removing it because in this laptop there's nothing to remove. So we'll go straight to removing the wireless card. Wireless card has a couple of components that we need to worry about. The main ones are these antennas. These antenna wires are fragile. They're attached to the card with basically what looks like a snap. So to remove them, we can just grab the cable near the connector and we're just going to lift up slightly. Sometimes if you use a screwdriver, it helps just to get underneath it a little bit, loosen it up, and you'll see it just pops loose. And you'll see a little round piece like that and a little hole, and they match up and snap together, and that's pretty much it. So we're going to want to remove both of those cables. Going to want to make sure that you remember which cable goes where. The card is labeled with a little white triangle and a little black triangle. One of these cables is black, one of these cables is white. The problem is in the manual, one picture shows the white wire here and the black wire here, the way the indicator on the label would show. The other picture in the manual shows them the other way around. That's why we do the testing prior to working with the laptop, so you can make sure that your wireless card works or not, that you've got internet without having an RJ45 or Ethernet cable plugged in. If your card works, make sure you note the orientation that your cables currently are, and then later when you reassemble it, put them back the same way. Now once we have our wires out of the way, our antennas out of the way, there's just 2 Phillips screws that hold that card in. So we'll remove those. These are not captive. They will come loose and they're very small. So we're going to want to be careful with those. I'm going to set them to the side temporarily. Once I get the card out, we'll tape them to the card. So we got the screws out, and you see as soon as I remove the screws, it's kind of spring loaded. That end kind of popped up. So we're going to want, in the angled position like this, we're just going to wiggle it slightly and pull it out of its little socket. And you can see the socket has a notch so that we can't put it in backwards later. And that's it. That's the wireless card. We'll take a piece of tape and we'll tape those 2 screws that we took out right to the card to make sure that they don't get lost.